Hi everyone, this is Caroline Speaks, the State of Our World, on Wednesday, August 26, 2020. Well, what is it? Good, bad, or indifferent? Well, first of all, as of early this evening, we had 5,828,337 confirmed cases in the United States and more than 80,392 people who have passed away from this virus. That is not good. This is Trump's virus. He didn't cause it, but he let it enter and travel all around the country. He didn't want to admit that we had all these cases and all these people sick and dying because he was afraid he'd hurt his numbers. All he wanted to do was have his power. So he ignored it. He didn't institute national lockdown. He didn't institute national testing. He didn't institute acquiring all the equipment and personal protective equipment needed and hospital equipment needed to combat the virus. He didn't make sure we had enough tests. Nothing. He didn't do anything like that. And he said, oh, it's it's going to go away. It's like a cold. We had 15 cases. It's going to go down to 0. Well, now we have almost 6 million cases. And we have over 180,000 people who have passed away from this virus. So it's not a little cold, it's very serious. And he and his administrations have mismanaged the whole thing. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we need someone to institute nationwide lockdown, and mandate wearing a mask and social distancing, and only go out when you have to. And then we can start to get control over this. Now, the CDC has been recommending testing everybody. Anyone tests positive, trace their contacts, and any of those contacts test positive, trace their contacts, and so on. Anyone tests positive, treat them, isolate them, quarantine them. Now, the CDC is changing the virus guidance, saying that testing may not be needed after exposure. So if you don't test people when they're exposed, then you don't know what's going to happen. So if someone has been exposed to the virus, you have to test them. And if they test positive, you have to isolate them, quarantine them, trace their contacts. So if you don't test everybody who has been exposed, then this is actually discouraging people from seeking to get a test, even if they know they have a known exposure. So what's that about? We need more testing, not less. The problem is in this country that it's necessary to test everybody. I've heard there aren't enough tests, so we have to develop more tests so everybody can be tested. And we have to treat this as the crisis it is. Now, if you spend a certain amount of time in close contact with someone closer to 6 feet, then you could be vulnerable. But now they're even come out with some guidelines saying that the virus can spread further than 6 feet. So state and local officials are recommending people get tested. It's like they're saying we don't have enough tests, said a doctor when asked about this. He's an infectious disease physician, and so if there aren't enough tests, why not? This whole thing has been mismanaged from the beginning. Everyone who has been exposed should be tested. Everyone. Why not? Why aren't we changing? Why are we changing that? I don't know. Said that the guidance has been updated to reflect current evidence and best public health practices. It's unclear how this was developed. So we really need to test everybody. If we don't have enough tests, then we have to develop enough tests so we can test everybody. Otherwise, we're going to have this virus with us forever. Um, Now, so if you test everybody and practice social distancing and wear a mask, yeah, there's a chance, and have a lockdown, maybe there's a chance we can actually get through this. But if you don't test everybody, if you say it's not necessary to test everybody if they don't have symptoms, if you have people allowing people to protest mandates to wear a mask and do social distancing, if you open up all the schools and you're asking for a real massacre here, real genocide. So we have to do things smart. The people who are protesting um, wearing a mask, lockdown, social distancing, think they're immune from this, but they're not. Anybody can get this. It's an equal opportunity virus. And those who are protesting their state governments who have issued lockdowns and mask mandates, they're being influenced by people on the far right, or they are on the far right, and they're trying to say it's not necessary to do all these things. And where they're basically protesting Democratic governors who have instituted lockdowns, mandated mask wearing, etc., and tried to keep things closed down so they can get a handle on the virus. They're not protesting it against Republican governors and mayors who are calling for lockdowns and wearing a mask. So what is it? We need to test everybody, and we have to get enough tests. We need enough personal protective equipment. We need enough hospital equipment. And we have to look out for our vulnerable populations, those living in assisted living homes, retirement homes, and nursing homes, and veterans homes. Those who are first responders, we need them. Those who are health care workers, we need them. Those who are farm workers and agricultural workers, we need them. And we also have to protect those in prisons and jails and detention centers waiting for asylum. We have to protect the essential workers, the grocery store workers, the truck drivers who deliver the products. So there's a lot of things we have to do. We have to test everybody. If you test people, you find someone is test positive, then and you add to the number of people who have the virus. And all Trump thinks about is keeping the numbers low. He doesn't care if people get sick. He doesn't care if people die. He just wants the numbers low so he has a better chance of winning re-election and the presidential election. That's why he's messing with the post office. The Congress is fighting back, the House is, but the Senate isn't. So we really need to make sure that we restore the post office the way it was before the pandemic. And we need to make sure we have fair elections and no voter suppression. So, a lot of things to take care of. And we also need to fight criminal justice abuses, police brutality. George Floyd, African American man, was murdered by a white police officer in Minneapolis a few months ago, and that sparked all kinds of protests against that. I support the protests. They shouldn't be violent, they shouldn't destroy property, but there's evidence that far-right groups and white supremacists have infiltrated these protests to make it look like the people protesting police brutality, the Black Lives Matter people, are the ones who are violent, but they believe they've been infiltrated by radical groups on the right. And then we have militia groups who are also getting in on this. So there appears to be a problem nationwide. We have to really institute policing that does not abuse anyone, and that's fair. Now, being a police officer is very dangerous because, especially if you called out on a domestic violence call, so when you walk into a situation like that, even with a partner, you have no idea what you're getting into. A lot of police officers have been shot, some killed, when answering a domestic violence call. So you're dealing with a situation that requires really a social worker, a psychologist, we need mental health reform. And police do risk their lives when they respond to domestic violence calls. Now, we have a lot of things we need in this country. And we have an election coming up on November 3rd. Primaries are wrapping up now. So it's really important that you get registered, make sure you're registered to vote, learn the issues and candidates will be on your ballot, support, volunteer to help issues and candidates you like, and make sure you vote. Because the people who are elected and issues get passed, they affect the people you vote for who get elected. They make decisions that affect your life. The issues get passed affect your life. So it's really important to study the issues and to make sure you go out and vote. And if we had a new administration that took the virus seriously, we could conquer this. We have to go with the science, not the politics. So make sure you get registered and make sure that you are ready to vote. Trump is trying to say that if the mail is fraudulent, it's not, and he's messing with the mail-in ballot system. He's saying that if you drop it off, you ballot off in a drop box, it's not sanitary. And he's also saying if you go to vote in person, I'm going to send my thugs after you to harass you and intimidate you. Now that is terrible, very terrible. Okay, now, also, we need to make sure schools are not reopened until it's safe to do so. Don't put the lives of students, teachers, and staff at risk for political reasons. That's what's happening in various parts of the country. They open up the school, and then cases develop of the coronavirus, and they have to shut the school down. So, we only reopen the schools when it's safe to do so. Same with businesses. Okay. Now, what else do we have to talk about? I think maybe it's time for a little song. Okay. Alright, this is a song I wrote a while ago. It's called Woe. I come from a world of woe, a world of pity, but of hope no. Oh why can't those I see, eyes I can't see, must not be. This world has no ears, this world has no tears, for the wretched, poor depraved years. Oh, listen, listen, oh, please do, as I make my prayer to you, a prayer of despair, a prayer that is fair, for a world that cannot care. I will pray that perhaps someday men of poor means might even say, the world is pretty, the world is bright, the world is in harmony, the world has no plight. But how can that be from the world that I see? For a world such as this will never know bliss. Okay, that's called Woe. Hope you liked it. Thank you for tuning in this evening to Caroline Speaks, The State of the World, Wednesday, August 26, 2020. Please tune in again tomorrow evening for another meeting with Caroline Speaks, The State of the World. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of others, and remember especially, kindness goes a very long way. Kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a long way. Okay, be safe. Thank you. See you tomorrow.